Another edition of Riding Home, this time Dean and Matt. The day after Dylan Raiola's really a good win for Buford. Now we've seen him a couple times. And it's good. I mean, I think that there was a lot of stuff I got to see last night that helps me understand more about him. It was not perfect, but when you went 14 for 26.
14 for 26, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Sacked.
About 4 or 5 times.
So that was the part I wanted to see. I wanted to see, what's this going to really be like for him when he's pressured? And he definitely was pressured last night, probably too much.
Yeah, and I think it got to him a little bit where he couldn't maybe play the game that he wants. Threw a lot off his back foot, a lot just with his feet moving. Now, I thought he was somewhat mobile. There were times where he was able to elude the first guy trying to sack him, and then 2 more guys were in his face. He did have to get the ball out quickly, but I thought...
Which he was good at.
He was good at, and you saw flashes of the 5-star talent, the elite arm strength. You did see that. That second touchdown strike to KJ Bolden, he threw it in a tight window. That was a phenomenal throw. But we didn't really see that laser all too much. I mean, he put a lot of touch on some throws, but you could still see the arm talent and why he's a 5-star. I didn't leave that game, blown away like I did when I watched Trevor Lawrence and when I watched Justin Fields lose to Rome and get sacked 4 or 5 times by Adam Anderson and company. But I still left saying that guy was special. What I just saw was pretty unbelievable. I didn't exactly get that feeling from Raiola, but he didn't play bad.
No. You're
the number 1 player in the country. The expectations are going to be there.
So you and I've talked about this a lot over the last 12 hours. And, I asked you, am I being too harsh or anything? I'm not sure I am. I mean, I think that what I get worried about, if you want to call it that, is he has tremendous physical traits. His arm talent is serious. And what I think, you wonder about is, does he rely on his arm a lot? Which was the criticism of Matthew, who managed to win a Super Bowl, by the way. Yesterday, I do think that, I wonder if it's being taught. Now, I don't know. I wonder if it's being taught that he is throwing a particular way versus stepping into it. Or did he feel that pressured by it? There was one highlight that I had where I felt like he could have stepped into the throw. I think he still completed the throw, which was not the point, though. Right. Now, this is what we do with quarterbacks. Is there can never be, I mean, it seems like there's no in between, but I think there is an in between. And I think that the idea that he's just going to go to Georgia as he is right now and start, that's not going to happen, in my opinion. B, he has the ability to get better, and he could really, really be good. That one throw, which might have been the touchdown you were talking about, was it when somebody from Buford cut through 2 defenders in the end zone? Raiola anticipated the throw. Was that the Bolden? That was an outstanding throw.
That was a perfect throw.
I mean, that was like amazing. But I'll throw it to you after this. The deep ball was one deep ball was underthrown by maybe 5 or 10 yards. They got a pass interference, but that should have been a touchdown. Like, this is what we do. You can notice every single thing about a quarterback. And Matt, he doesn't have the ability to scramble, but you were talking about his ability to move in the pocket.
He moves well in the pocket while looking downfield. He moves laterally, and there were a few times where he escaped and still threw down the field. There is a lot to like about his game, but we look at the numbers and we say, well, it could have been better.
How many drops, though?
There were 2 drops. There were a few throws that were just out in front of guys, or maybe slightly underthrown. But a lot of that had to do with the pressure. He was playing against the number 6 team in the country.
They were good.
We talked about that going in. What is he going to play like? How is he going to react when he gets hit and goes down? He got hit a good bit, and he came back, and he still played well and threw some strikes after getting hit and, gone to the ground. And I thought his best throw was when we were walking out. He hit a deep ball to Jordan Allen, a 2025 receiver who was awesome in the scrimmage and played really well yesterday at number 4. Yeah, he's got a Georgia offer. But he's got some weapons, and that might be the best defense he sees all year. And no turnovers, 2 touchdowns, let him do a win.
His biggest play to me, just as a person who's consumed a lot of football through the years, was He was getting sacked and sort of fumbled the ball, and he grabbed it as fast as he could. To me, that's like, okay, that's what I want. I mean, how do you play quarterback? It's not just throwing the ball, it's protecting the ball. That is so critical. And he had this, you have to be able to think when plays are happening.
Yeah.
When you're out there, I mean, it's not the same when you're a photographer, but you know what's going to happen next, and you have to think, this guy's coming really fast at me. Slow down for a second and get what you need to get. He got that ball. That was really important, I thought. I think he seems to be a very good teammate.
Yeah.
There are some highlights. He could not have been more excited that Buford ran a trick play to get a 2-point conversion, and he was turned around the wrong, like he was not in on that play. That was their, they do the whole thing where we may go for 2, but we got our kicker out here, and they went for 2 and got it. And that 15 points, I felt like the game was kind of over. Buford had to fight the whole night.
Yeah.
And all due credit to them, they did. KJ Bolden played pretty well too.
He's really good.
Yeah, no, he's good.
Should have had the pick 6. It was called back for holding, but the athleticism to pick that ball off and then just explode down the field.
Not a great throw. He was playing center field.
Yeah.
But how many not a great throws did we see from Raiola? Like, that's what I'm saying. You think it's bad? Like, I just wonder. I question myself about being too picky about guys.
Yeah.
But if we're talking very seriously about the best player in the country, you know, this morning we saw
Quintavious Johnson.
Quintavious Johnson at Mays is going to be a very good player for Georgia. Okay?
Yeah.
That's me saying that. Now, here's why. You can see it with him when he's getting double teamed and so forth. Well, I will tell you right now, last name is Johnson, right?
Last name's Johnson.
Quintavious Johnson.
Quintavious Johnson.
Quintavious is out of shape because he's a high school defensive lineman, and he has no business being out there for that many snaps.
Yeah.
When he has the capability, like, you know, I mean, I thought about Nazir when I was watching Quintavious today, because Nazir was the same basic thing. This kid may make more plays than Nazir did, who was at Stevenson. So, but that guy at Mays, Johnson, is raw. I think Raiola might be a little bit more raw than people realize.
Well, that's what I was thinking about earlier. He's not as polished as, say, Gunnar Stockton was.
He's not. He's not. A lot of people are not going to be.
Gunnar
Stockton's polished.
Is the real deal. And just from a technical standpoint, a fundamental standpoint, it looks right. It looks like he's kind of a machine with his footwork, with his release, how short it is, but the way he throws it, that's how it just looks like it's supposed to be. With Raiola, he slings it from, you know, the sidearm here, and like a little off balance, sometimes off his back foot, and
more off his back foot than I would like. But I will admit right now that I might not know everything in terms of, he may be getting taught that, you know, get the ball out fast. It doesn't matter, you know, you don't have to wait for the laces. There's different ways to play quarterback. I mean, but go ahead. I think I
wanted to see him take care of the ball, and what I did notice was that he was audibling, he was changing plays, he was reading the defense, he was making sure the guys, he was in control, and it looked like he knew how to play the quarterback position. I like that he didn't turn the ball over when he was getting harassed a good bit, especially in that second quarter. It felt like every time he was dropping back, he could have made a dumb mistake or a bad throw. Instead, he took a sack or threw it out of bounds or in a place where no one can get it. But when they were on, it did look good for a decent period of time there. And the first touchdown, I thought he could have zipped it in there a little more. He kind of threw it towards the back of the end zone.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But this is the Buford test. So what I mean by that is, and from now on, I guess I will reference it, that this is the Buford test. So in Dean Legge world, that means, what did Trevor Lawrence have to overcome to beat Buford that day? This was not dissimilar from that, but Dylan Raiola has a lot more on his Buford team versus what Trevor had with him at Cartersville when they beat Buford. Trevor had the ability to run. Dylan Raiola, that's not a weapon for him. It is it is there, but he's not picking up 25 yards.
No.
That's not who he is.
Not in the SEC, at least.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and the people I trust the most say, he's kind of like Ben Roethlisberger a little bit. Like, he's a bigger guy. He's not going to run around back there. He will try to fight off being sacked, too.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Maybe that's where the Roethlisberger thing comes from.
I did see a little toughness there when I think there was an impressive 3-yard run where he got hit at the line of scrimmage and fell forward a few extra yards instead of being brought down right there.
How much bigger am I than him?
You're significantly taller. I think Dylan Raiola is about 6'2.5", 6'3". If we're being real,
230,
225, 230ish.
Yeah.
I mean,
So I think the guy has some serious talent, and what's going to happen from now on is like how much football do we watch? I mean, we've seen 3 games in 24 hours. And not even 24 hours. And you when you go to watch guys play, we owe it to y'all to tell you the truth as we see it at the time. And I think that what he had last night was, I cannot fancy my way to this. We're going to have to grind this thing out. And they did. Yeah. And, running the ball was hard last night. For both teams. Yeah. It was a really good game.
Talent all over the place on both sides.
They were just really good. The kicking game was not ideal for either team, but
special teams in general,
generally speaking, was not ideal. But Buford might not lose this season. But I do want to see what happens as we go on here, because I think Dylan Raiola is a really elite special player. But I do think that he can still. Like, there's still room for growth here, and there's room for, I think, not insignificant growth that you can see over time. When Matthew got to Georgia, he just did not know how to play quarterback the right way. It took him about a season.
As expected. I mean, it was
people did not expect that. They thought him and Jacob Eason and they think these guys come in. Yeah.
Year one.
That's not going to happen with Dylan Raiola. He's not going to have that burden. That is a great problem. That is
good position to be in.
Yeah, but in order to beat out Stockton in the future, he's going to really have to ball out. He's not just going to be.
He's got to bring that running element too.
Well, that's true.
If you're the number 1 player in the country, especially at quarterback, I think you need to check every box.
We've only seen him play 5 quarters.
Yeah.
So, but next week it will be 9 for me, and then soon thereafter it will be 12 total for what is it, 13 total for the Dog Post crew. And it's a bit unfair to watch every single thing. I mean, like, why didn't he do? In the grand scheme of things, he's quite good. And do they win that game with the backup quarterback? I mean, I don't know. He made plays for them. I mean, they weren't. Yeah. And it's a little unfair to be like, a 5-star number 1 guy can only. The only game we will accept from a 5-star player is them going 18 of 22 with 3 touchdowns. He didn't throw the ball, an interception. He didn't turn it over.
I was gonna say, it's not like these guys were wide open either.
No.
I mean, the opposing defensive backs they thought they played well. I mean,
I'm gonna put the KJ Bolden touchdown over the top at the beginning of the video, just because I think I'm not talking about signing up for the newsletter. The newsletter's down below. Please do that. But that was a great throw.
That was a wow throw.
I mean,
that was a 5-star
throw. Great throw. Guys aren't going to have to do that all the time. Honestly, if you're a good quarterback, you should not have to do that, 3 times a game at the most?
Right.
And you're really supposed to connect on all 3?
A guy with his talent and skill set in a Mike Bobo offense, which allows for guys to be wide open, I like the potential that he brings to the table, but we saw the arm talent, and the arm talent is real.
He's really good, but he does not walk on water. And I want people to realize that these young guys need to be able to grow up in their time, whatever that time is. And it won't just be that someone just walks on campus and they can immediately do it. Jake Fromm was a markedly and noticeably better quarterback in 18 than he was in 17. Okay, and noticeably worse in 19 for some reason, James Coley. So I think that in this case, all of these guys, Trevor, Justin, Matthew, those guys were not all number ones, but they were all franchise quarterbacks. Yeah. They all needed their time to get where they had to go. And it was shorter for Trevor, but he was not playing the same competition that Matthew was playing, was not playing the same competition that Justin was playing. So it's different for different guys. This guy could totally be number 1 draft pick overall. He's got a lot of the arm talent. It's not dissimilar from Caleb Williams. I get it, man. My only pump the brakes here is, man, he's still raw. That's all.
Yeah.
He's not super raw, but he's not polished.
I just want to see the footwork improve in him.
Yes.
I think the ball could zip out even more if he throws it the way a lot of guys, around here throw it. But he doesn't mind throwing it off balance or off his back foot, but maybe that might come to get him later in the season.
That's what I get worried about. Is like if you can do the spectacular, I would say, and this is Dylan Raiola is not what I'm talking about necessarily here. That you can do the spectacular doesn't mean that you should have to do the spectacular. And I think that, last night was a really good win. I don't know if anybody in high school football in America has a better win than Buford does right now.
Yeah.
So all due credit to the Wolves and so forth. Wild game in terms of the atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, there was
not a wild game.
The whole town was there.
Game was boring, but right?
Yeah, it was ugly at times, but it was low scoring. A lot of flags. I mean, it's the first game of the high school season. You're gonna have some. It's gonna drag along, and it did. A lot of flags.
Did the band go on at the half?
Yeah.
Did they?
Buford's got a band. Yeah.
I need that to be more memorable for me personally.
The Maze band was pretty good.
Were they? I wasn't paying attention to that at all.
Oh, I was getting into it.
They're
a little
good.
bit.
Well,
they're
they're good. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Sign up for the newsletter. Thanks for watching.